Good afternoon, good evening, or good morning, depending on your current location. Please feel welcome to our first English live session, Overcoming Project Management Challenges for Social Change. My name is Veronica Pejnovic, and I will be joining you in this day to discuss and reflect on the current challenges faced by all project managers when developing and managing social impact projects. We will have the presence of two international specialists, each bringing their unique perspectives, who have come together with a single objective: to drive change and social transformation through projects and organizations. Due to major force reasons, Elena Knorr will not be able to join us today. During this day, you will be able to ask questions or make contributions through the Zoom question panel, which we will answer at the end of each lecture. At the same time, if you have any technical issues or have doubts, Doing Global moderators will be available to assist you with whatever you need. Finally, I would like to inform you that in the next week, you will be receiving the recorded material as well as a digital badge for your participation in this meeting. You can proudly share this badge on your social networks. Now, I'm going to present the first talk of this event by Agustín Sarria Ortiz, Director of the PM4R program, Knowledge and Learning Specialist at the Inter-American Development Bank. Good afternoon, Agustín. It's an honor to have your presence today.
Hello, Veronica. Likewise, thank you for having me here.
Please, it's an honor for us. With you, we are going to talk and deepen our understanding of the PM4R methodology. So please, this would be our first question for you today. The question is, what are the particularities of development and social impact project, and how do these impact on the way they are managed?
Okay, development and social impact projects have some specific characteristics that make them really interesting to manage, at least from my point of view. I could say the first is stakeholders. At this kind of projects, we have different beneficiaries and different roles that we have to take into account that they are different from the private sector projects. We have the direct beneficiaries. We have social impacts, and someone is going to receive this. So we have to bring them into the table and manage their expectations and their expectatives very well. In addition to that, we have a very strong presence of the public sector, and that's really important to manage very well, because priorities can change so quick and can impact in how we execute these projects. The second characteristic to me important is the source of funding. We are using public funds, so we are always doing reports. The processes has to be really transparent, and we have a lot of accountability to do, because, well, we are on the spot, and we have to use the resources wisely and very precise to meet the goals we have. And finally, I could say the execution teams. We have a high rotation in the executing units, and many times there is a lack of motivation for doing the projects on the scope, schedule, and time. So this makes social impact projects very particular to execute, and I think these are the three main characteristics that make these projects a bit different from the private sector.
Excellent, Agustín, very, very interesting. In this way, why did the IDB develop its own methodology for project management?
Okay, let's go 12, 13 years ago. we identified that there was, well, first of all, we wanted to understand why the performance of our portfolio wasn't that good. So we make some studies and we identified that there was a lack of abilities in project management in all our executing units. Social impact projects are executed by executing units installed inside the public institutions, right? So there was a lack of these abilities. So we thought, why don't we help them, and why don't we see what's going on in the market and make it easier for them to understand? So we create these methodologies, and PM4R was born based on international best practices. We didn't invent anything, our international standards, and we simplified to add value on project execution, make them easier to apply. So all our counterparts, were able to learn them faster and apply them quicker. We try to, our motto, our main topic, it's less administrative work, more execution. We have to reduce the administrative work, not administrate tools and so many documents, but focus on execution and deliver value. So after many years doing workshops, trainings, we can say 12, 13 years, we can say that nowadays PM4R community has more than 600,000 members, and PM4R Expert, and I will talk a bit more about the methodologies we have, is recognized as the best practice in project management for social impact projects in the world, not only in the region, Latin America and the Caribbean, in the world.
Excellent, Agustin, very clear, thank you. So you were talking about making it easier and focusing on more execution and delivery. What value do PM4R methodologies add to the project manager, not only to the project itself, but to the people that work with it, the project manager?
Okay, I talked before about PM4R Expert, right? So we have in PM4R, there are 3 different methodologies. The first one is PM4R Professional. It's a predictive approach with 7 easy tools that makes execution and project performance better. The second one is Agile. You know, Agile is a trend topic, is sexy, everyone wants to be Agile. So we create this methodology based on best practices in the market with 5 easy steps to understand agility and apply it to social impact and development projects. And the third one is PM4R Leadership, soft skills in project management. We are the only ones that have a training specific in how to manage stakeholders, communications, negotiations, and all the soft skills related and involved in project management. So having said that, about your question of the added value to project managers, I could say that it's a simple set of tools that boost execution and improve project performance. Investing little time, the results you can have are really, really big. So it's something doable, and I think it's really easy to understand and to apply, and that's that is our add value, and that's why PM4R is being so successful, and everyone wants to do PM4R.
I want to be PM4R. I would be.
You are indeed.
So you talk about these 3 different, we can say, approaches: professional, agile, leadership for project management. Can these 3 be used independently? And also, is any one of these methodologies or approaches better than the others?
I couldn't say one is better than other. It depends on you and your project. The 3 approaches could be applied separately, or they could work all together. Actually, the certification PM4R Expert that includes the 3 certifications, its purpose is to make professionals understand when to apply each one and how to apply them. Imagine, when we work in social impact projects, we have goals and some restrictions we have to comply with. And we have a results matrix, and you have to develop some tools to manage it. So we make a really big effort when we begin the project, the execution, to define and design the planning. And then we keep on track following that path, that planning, and doing all the possible efforts to not deviate from that planning. That's a predictive one. It can work for you. Some people prefer agile, but for social impact projects, we can be pure agilist because that's so romantic. You don't have a scope. It's like, okay, this is magnificent, people in the center, we can do so many things, but that's unreal. And the Agile world realized that, and these agilists that made the Agile Manifesto are trying to get together again, because agility couldn't how do they say it in English? Is not cope, is be updated or be on the needs that we have now. Pure agility is almost impossible to reach because we need a scope, a tiny scope at least. And what we did was create a hybrid methodology, and we begin with predictive tools, defining the scope, and then executing it in tiny sprints with an agile implementation plan, and combining the best of the worlds. A good planning with vitamins to make the execution even better. So all of them are compatible. You can use them separately, and you can even use them or apply them with other practices in the market. PM4R is not a Taliban methodology. PM4R tries to invite you and provoke you to begin with project management standards and begin to improve your project performance.
Excellent, Agustin. I like that very much. So what we can understand is that these three together makes you, like you said, an expert. So you can use them independently, but the three of them together, they are power, and we really gets us to an expert level. That is really, really great. Can these methodologies be mixed with other? It's possible to mix them with each other, but can they be mixed with other methodologies?
Yes, absolutely. As I said before, they are complementary to other practices in the market. We didn't invent anything. We just stop, see the market, which were the standards, the best practices in the market, the benchmarks, and we chose those who added more value to project execution. We don't need 40-something processes. We don't need 15, 16, 17 tools. 7 is enough. If you are able to manage 7 areas of your project, your performance is going to change for sure. And we have proof of that. So you can be the biggest expert in the world with so many titles and so many resources, but you get lost managing instead of delivering results. And what we do and what we say is, okay, just take what adds value to you and then put in practice in a simple way and combine it with anything else. As I said, this is not an invention of the IDB. It's just seeing what it's in the market, make it easy. It's like the milk. It's like a skim milk. You remove the fat and you just leave the essence to make it simple to understand.
Agustin, I love the way you explain this. You make it so easy for us to understand, and really we do want to know more. Thank you very much for giving us this interesting dialogue space. Now we are going to continue with Catherine Almeida, researcher at the University of Salamanca in social innovation, and professor at the Master of Social Innovation and Cooperative Economy. It's such a big pleasure to have you here, Catherine.
Thank you very much. I'm gonna share with you some comments in a slide, just to try to organize my ideas better. And thank you, Agustin, because I'm taking your foot here and launching from the PM4R actually methodology, because I found as being able to work in the region in Latin America, well, we call the Americas, but in Latin America and the Caribbean, the incredible results that we are able to achieve, regardless the size of the organization, regardless the type of the project or the sector from where we are working. So the intention is, in general, of project management is to use this resource as a mechanism or tool for development and of development too. And the intention is to enhance and boost socioeconomic development, regardless it is in the country, in a region, or in a sector. Working with the implementation based on the premise that we have to fulfill objective within a scope, time, and budget. That the change, when we're talking about development, we're talking about changes that are gradual, regardless our big hopes. We have resources and time constraints, but we also have a context, a social context, and a cultural context, and institutional context that restrain us from the intention and the planning of immediate results to the reality of gradual results and even phases results. So those are characteristic of the project management in general. When we go to the region, and what we have found is that we can assure that we're going to have a diversity of stakeholders, even if these stakeholders are directly related to the project or are stakeholders directly related to the impact or the results. We are also pursuing sustainability. And that is one of the major challenges actually in the region. What we have found is that with COVID, we have moved backwards in an average of 14 years of development in the region. And that means that we have to restart some of the progress that we have already achieved. So sustainability, when we're talking about projects, it's important. And social return or social impact. And what we are focusing in this term, because it's not only trendy, what is the value of the term is that we are pursuing to change living conditions. We are pursuing to change the impact in the environment and become more sustainable in the sense of being able to transcend one generation who is using or utilizing the resources to the other generation. And the capacity building or the capacity access, which means that we build in every step, we build knowledge, we make it replicable, and we make it doable and consistent after we as project managers went out of the project. So this is sustainable change, improvement in the life conditions. And we're also facing an interesting characteristic, which is a multidimensional, multi-sectorial, and very often multi-impact projects. And by that, we want to be sure that regardless that we start a project in one very defined sector, because of the lack of development and how are intertwined the relationship between sectors and stakeholders in our countries, in our regions, we are going to face different dimensions of development at the same time. We're going to be facing stakeholders from different sectors, and we are going achieving different impacts. We're going to have direct ones, and we're going probably will have indirect ones. And sometimes this is the way that we extend the project and make this project shift into a new one, into a larger one, into a higher impact one. And those, when taking what Agustin mentioned about the methodologies, this is why having a diversity of methodologies is so useful for the project manager and for the intention of achieving development in one sector, in one region, in one country, in one population, because it allows us to use the resources that we have to develop the resources that we need and to impact the communities that we want to change. If we see, I'm just gonna put this little picture here of the Caribbean and the Americas. If we see the first one at our left hand, we're gonna see a multiple, it's not the entire hemisphere, but we're gonna see a diversity of colors. But usually people who are not engaged with the region thinks that the Caribbean is the same because they are such small countries which might be in the same landscape. It's not. The diversity of language, diversity of culture, diversity of legislation are multi-factor of challenges to cooperate as a region. And that is very important for a project manager, especially if you have to develop stakeholders relationship and rationalize expectations of stakeholders from different perspectives. And that is something that it's important. And I mentioned Africa here because for some of the projects of the, I don't know if I missed connection. I hope no. So
no, Catherine, okay, we are hearing you perfectly well.
Perfect. Thank you. So for some of the projects of the region of the Caribbean, especially the West Indies, they are related or developed, including some of the countries of Africa, North, East Africa, Northwest. And that it's important for us to understand because that brings complexity, but also opportunities for the type of projects that we are going to be developing or managing across the borders. When we see the methodologies, different methodologies that are actually available in the market, what I have found interesting about project management for results is that, as Agustin mentioned, we have three different methodologies, but we are able to combine them. And by itself, each one supports a different type, I would say not only type of project, but also type of organizations and stakeholders that are engaged. And that help us to define at the beginning of the planning process which ways we would like to go, which pathways are we're gonna prioritize according to who we are as managers, who we are as stakeholders, and how's going to be the relationship that we have with our stakeholders and the type of impact that we can achieve with this project. So for professional, we are focusing in I would say that in my experience, in the way that I have been able to work with the different methodologies, is that professional has been very useful for me in developing institution and capacity building. And that helps strengthen who we are when we are in a position that we can say that we have certain level of development in our organization or in our department. The project that we have have certain level of resources and maturity. So part of the outcomes that we are able to achieve with professionals include effectiveness, good planning, project management, focus on result-based, resources and risk management, and of course, always assessment, monitoring, and evaluation. That is a constant in all project management methodology. When I see leadership, the main experience that I have applying this methodology has to be developing communication and relationship with stakeholders. When we have to define, when we have a very complex map of stakeholders and stakeholders relationship, to develop strategies, leadership has been very, very useful. And that also helps us in establish different lines of negotiation, being more assertive in the coordination, and develop strategic communications inside the team and for stakeholders outside of the management team. When we look at Agile, and Agile is one of the methodologies that I use more frequently because I can sprint, I can divide the project in very short-term periods. So we can have a team within the team working with the goals, focusing in the resource and their best capabilities. And also it helps to the time constraint of the project. It helps also with the delivery and performing, and help us to focus on the entire project in an iterative way, so we can grow the progress and measure the progress. And when we look to the traditional project management, as taking Agustin also expertise, we are dealing with a lot of management to reuse the word. We are dealing with processes that are not always flexible as the reality required to be. We are also very constrained in how we can handle unplanned situations and coordinate within a reality that it's constantly moving. So if I have to pick one within another, I would say it's depends of what are you doing, what are your conditions as a team and as a team leader, and which is the goal of your project. Because sometimes the goal of your project can be split. Sometimes the goal of your project cannot be spreaded in very short term steps, and needs more time and needs more strategic communication and more engagement with different stakeholders that are not part of the management, but they have a high impact in the organizations, in the resources, in the reputation of the project. So those tools are useful. Each of them provides a better outcome, and definitely for development, they have provide results in my experience in different projects in the region. I want to share with you some of the regional challenges, especially in the Caribbean and in the Americas. And I'm excluding, at this moment, I'm excluding the United States specifically, and focusing in the Americas and the Caribbean. For 2021, these were the major, some of the example of the major topics that concerns the region: climate change, increase of sea level, also the challenges, what can we do as small players, but with higher impacts to suffer, especially the islands, natural disasters. We are the Caribbean and Central America. It's the zone, the hot sun for natural disaster. And the challenge is, how can we mitigate? How we probably cannot prevent, but we can work to have a better capacity to build better. Corruption and corruption, it has an impact in all sectors. It costs 18.4 billion per year in our region. That it's exclusively the Caribbean. And transnational organized crime. Crime costs 3.7 GDP, the equivalent of the 3.7 of the GDP of the Caribbean too. And we have the challenge of weak institutions. So why I bring these challenges? Because our projects will probably be in one of many different challenges, and these could be part of them. When we are talking about corruption, we are talking about education, we are talking about institutions, we are talking about justice. When we are talking about natural disasters, infrastructure, we are talking about access to resources. So each of these major areas has a broader impact. And these are some of the projects that I have found in the Inter-American Development Bank that I love to put our attention in the region, because they are so different. They're related to they highlight the Sustainable Development Goal, which they are related to. But what I want to bring the attention is to how different are our needs and how much we can help with our project to impact our region. In Jamaica, entrepreneurial ecosystem has been fostering, so venture capital programs. In Belize, improved quality of education. In Honduras, the police reform has increased the trust in police, reducing digital gap in Nicaragua, supporting clean energy in Chile, improving housing quality in Trinidad and Tobago. So we are having just a glimpse here of what can we do from our projects? How can we impact? What is the type of change that we can bring to improve the quality of life of our region? So this is my presentation. I just want to say thank you, and I'm pretty open for any question. Thank you very much.
Thank you to you, Catherine. It's an excellent presentation. You have put us in front of these big challenges for the region. So as project management and project managers, we really need to be prepared. So thank you, both of you, for sharing your expertise and experience in project management. And we have some questions. I've seen that you've been interacting in the chat. That's excellent. I still have some questions for you. So allow me to make these questions that really people here is doing for you. I will extend them. The first one is Agustin. The question is, how has the PM4R methodology been able to demonstrate greater impacts from social projects?
Okay, I like what Catherine was saying about building capacities. Building capacities is something very important, and all the main PMOs from the biggest companies in the world say that invest in project management skills and knowledge and trainings. It's one of the most important things for being successful in project management and in the companies. If you're looking for a hard data and a number, it's really complex to find that. Why? Because we can find the attribution specifically for a training. And that's what everyone asked me. Tell me a number. Why everyone wants a number? There are more things but numbers, you know? Well, we could isolate in a way some things, and I wrote, it was an answer for one of the questions I saw, and we could say that teams who were working or who were applying PM4 Agile could execute an 82% of the tasks they planned on their Agile plans versus less than 65% on average we have in the ordinary plannings in the bank, in the portfolio in the bank. Was it only PM4 Agile? I would love to say that, but it's impossible because, you know, there are so many factors that we can say, no, it didn't impact. For instance, we have really good PUs, project executing units, that work really good executing, and at some point they have a poor project performance. And the first reaction of the bank many times is, oh, let's claim them. Why this is happening? You are not executing well. Yes, they are, but suddenly we have a change in our governments. What happened when the government changed? Everything stops. And many times the teams they change in 100% of the people who's working there. So it's not a matter of training or knowledge. It's a matter of external factors that can impact, and we cannot isolate from the training. So I say yes. And why I'm so sure this works? The market. Listen to the market. We are the most successful practice in project management for social impact development. We are working with the PMI so close, doing so many things. And, you know, if the PMI recognizes you and gives you the space, it's for something. And the line that divides us is that we are focused on social impact projects. They are focused on private sector projects. And this is a best practice. But again, guys, if you are looking this, if you are looking for a number, it's impossible. I cannot say it because it could be unfair and it could be a lie for anyone who tells that their methodology is the direct effect for a project performance improvement.
Thank you, Agustin. We don't have a number, but we know we need to be prepared. So, and that's a great beginning. I have a question for you, Catherine, but before there is this big question. What is the actual meaning of PM4R?
Project Management for Results.
Excellent. Thank you, Agustin. Now, Catherine, for you, can this methodology help to reduce negative cultural inefficiencies and corruption to ensure that projects are implemented sustainable and research the targeted stakeholders?
There you are.
We wish.
It's the panel here who is asking, so.
We wish, but the methodology can help us to define a better set of objectives, of goals, and make them more inclusive, make them identify if we are leaving one of the cultural aspects out, and that is one of the things that I value more in the project management, in the PM4R. It's the need to work in teams since the beginning, since the ideation of the project. You need to work in teams, and as soon as you're working in team and you are allowing your team understand that they are strategic stakeholders of the project, you are going to be able to listen better to which information can help the project achieve the goals and have and improve the impact, the social impact that they are supposed to produce. So is this effort of multiple actors, multiple experience, multiple capacities, bringing together to the process in a different prioritizations, hierarchy, resources, and roles, which will provide you with a better objective definition, so your goals will provide a better impact, a better outcome. I hope this helps.
May I add you something? Yes, because this was a really complicated question, and I know that corruption is a concern everywhere, and mine too. But these tools and this methodology helps to make the project planning transparent. What do you do when you make it transparent, that everyone can see it? What happens if you are in a field full of apple trees and you steal an apple, but you are just by your own? Okay, you say, okay, I eat this apple. No one saw me stealing it. It's okay. What happens if you have 20 people around you looking at you when you're stealing the apple? Many times the stealing doesn't happen because or you share or you know what's going on, right? So when you use these methodologies, you make execution transparent, you make execution visible, you involve the stakeholders, and when everyone is on the table, they are waiting for results for something, and they can help to make this less or no corruption at all. And remember, we are using in general public funds when we talk about social impact projects. Well, NGOs, international institutions, public funds, and those funds, I can tell that international institutions, NGOs work so hard to be sure that the resources goes where they have to go.
Great. I have two easier questions, but before our participants, they want to go really in deep. So here is another question. Any of you can answer. And it says that also, can we conclude that PM4R differentiates itself from other project management methodologies as being quicker at solving problems? A smaller team can achieve more?
I think there are two questions in one, right?
Yes, there are two questions in one. Yes,
I can take the first one and Catherine,
Okay.
or we can complement each other. So if you want me to say, we are the best practice in the world, no, I'm not going to say that. You're not going to listen that from me, because after that you will say, Agustin said that you were the only. We are complementary. You don't have to fix in one practice. To me, the worst we can do is have Taliban methodologies. If you don't do it as I say, you go to the hell of project managers. No, no. Find what works for you. Find what adds value for you. What we are saying with PM4R is that it's a really easy way, a really easy investment of time to reach a medium project management level. Why? Because investing 1 hour a day per 7 days, you have the project management, the PM4R professional certification. That means that you know how to use 7 tools for managing 7 areas of the project that are really important to manage. Or if you invest the same, but during 6 weeks, you can execute in an agile way and understand how agile works. Not that PM4R agile is the only way to do it. No, it's gonna open your mind to begin to create a new mindset about how to do it. That's where we add value, but we are not the only ones. And if you like project management, if you are in love with project management, continue studying. I do it. I have project management for result stuff, and I have many others in the market because I like to know new ways to do things.
Excellent, Agustin. I will come to you with another question, but first.
No, it's Catherine.
Yes, no, another one. No, the second one, thank you. A smaller team can achieve more?
Well, when you organize the resources that you have, first of all, when you know what you have to do, when your goals are well set, when you know the resources that you have, and when you have defined how you're going to work and with the time frame that you're going to be pursuing these goals, it's possible to lose less effort, less time, to waste less time, and be more effective. So the team will be achieving outcomes in a better level of results than when you do not apply the methodology. Depending on the project that you are looking for, because sometimes we think as project managers, when we are creating the project, that we are going unrealistically able to work 20 hours a day, be attentive to all resources, and do not commit mistakes. And that is unrealistic. But when you follow the methodology, most of the methodologies in project management, one of the roadmap that we have is who is going to do what, how, with what, and when. And this roadmap help individually part of the team, the single smaller part of the team, know exactly what is expected for him or her. And that is awesome to achieve a goal. It make it easy even when you are in a deviation of the roadmap. Where was this point of deviation? How can we redirect to keep us on track? So it helps smaller teams in a way that it provides tools to organize better the work. But it do not substitute reality. It does not substitute reality. There's a context that you have. There are resources that you have. There are certain things that you need in a certain period, in one time, that if you don't receive it in that time from another stakeholder, won't be able for you to continue the progress of the project. So those are part of the context that the project manager needs to know in the process and be aware. So I hope it helps.
Great question. Great answer, Catherine. I will complement with another question. Should every member of the team have to be trained in PM4R?
Who is that question for?
Well, she was talking about teams, so I give it to her because I still have questions for you remaining.
Okay.
Well, I will answer as a user for different consultants and projects in the region. I would say that it's better. The best team is the one that it's all trained. It happens in any aspect that you work with. So you are able to enhance each capacity of the team and make their skills and competencies better used in the project. But as a leader, and each of us will play a leadership role. We need to be able to transform our teams, to make them grow, to develop them, because their development has a direct impact in our projects. Even if we are the first ones who are trained in the methodology, it does not mean that we are not able to share the methodology, to make it understand comprehensively in the team. And that is very important, because once you feel that you are part of the process, that you own the process, the achievement, getting the outcomes that we are planning to have is part of me. So there's nothing that adds more value to a team than engagement. And engagement means I know what I'm doing. I know what I do. It's important, contributes to the process. And I can grow through doing what I am called to do. So developing that in the team, I think it's very important. And if cannot happen in the first phase of a project, should be happening in the time.
Excellent, Catherine. Thank you very much. The more trained, the more prepared, the more lucky we are. Thank you. Now for you, Agustin, I have two questions. They come together and it makes sense with what you were saying about complementing PM4R with some others. In this case, should I do PM4R if I'm already PMP certified? And the second one, does the PM4R expert certificate enable someone to be eligible to take the PMP exam?
Okay, thanks for the question. First one, my recommendation, if you're a PMP, it depends on what you want. If you want to collect certifications, don't do it. But if you want to refresh contents and apply them, do it. We have a lot of PMPs who made the PM4R because you have a different approach, right? And the projects we manage is different. And on the other hand, I found a lot of PMPs that told me, no, I'm a PMP, I know how to do this. And when we began our trainings, our kickoff workshops, our planning workshops, they didn't know what was a WBS. So to me, there is a difference between having a certification and know how to use the knowledge of that certification. Many times it's like the driving test in Spain. When you learn how to pass, because you learn how to pass the driving test in Spain, you don't know how to drive, they help you to, yeah, you pass it, you didn't pass the red light, it's okay. But the first day you are in your car by yourself with the L of learning in the back in Cibeles Square in the city center of Madrid, you say, oh my God, what I'm doing here, how do I manage this, right? So it's the same. To me, it's better to practice it and to put it in practice than having the certification. That's the answer for the first one. If you like it, if you don't want to take the PM4R certification, you have other resources like PM4R community, workshops, some things smaller that can give you an update and a refresh. And the second one is about, if I remember well, if the PMPs has any advance or something to get a PM4R, and the other way. We actually are working, I can tell you more, but we are working with the PMI now to have common learning paths, complementary learning paths. So soon you will have news about this, which are the options between both certifications and different learning products we have at the IDB and at the Project Management Institute to make them compatible. And that's why I told you at the beginning, every practice in the market is or should be compatible from our point of view. Knowledge is shareable. It's not a private asset you have to take. You have to share it, complement it, and build your own thought about it.
Excellent. I think thank you very much. And we will be waiting for this big news. Catherine, Agustin, thank you. Before your final reflections for our audience, we will now display a survey where you can express your opinions and share your topics of interest for future events. Your feedback is crucial for us to continue growing and improving. Okay, so you have your survey now. And finally, we turn to our speakers for a final reflection. I don't know which of you wants to be the first.
Dear Catherine, the floor is yours.
Well, I just want to say thank you and welcome the audience to have this curiosity about how to improve the impact through developing capacity. I know that we have a lot of challenges in our region, and sometimes something that discourages us frequently has to be with the lack of resources and how we see sometimes amazingly important projects just very poorly implemented, and the life that they changed coming backwards to even worse conditions than previous the project. And I want to bring that just to let you know that this should be something that we take as a challenge to make our square meter better. We can make a difference. If our project only impacts 5 families, these 5 families are going to be able to have a better life and to want a better life for the others that they are related to. That impact goes beyond our little project. Do not dream small because the dreams has the same cost. You can start your big dream with small steps, with just a square meter, very small. But it doesn't mean that if you don't add another meter and the team that you are getting together, the stakeholders add their own piece to the puzzle, we are going to be able to make a difference. And we should. It's on us. So thank you for this moment with you.
Thank you, Catherine. Great message for all of us. Thank you. The floor is yours now, Agustin.
Well, I start again. Thank you for giving me this space to share with you, with these attendees. It was a really nice experience, and from the IDB, we try to improve lives every single day. And I think with PM4R, we did it. I know it. And why I know it? Because all of you, many of you, and many people in Latin America trusted us and trusted what we do. With our methodologies, with working so hard, trying to change lives also and delivering results to improve life quality in Latin America and the Caribbean. And that the people who integrate the PM4R community made this really big. We also have, and this meeting is part of it, a network of education providers that help us to spread the methodologies, because we have capacity and we want to go further. We jumped into Europe. We have participants from all around the world, and that's for something. And that's thanks to you, thanks to all the people who trusted us again. And remember that doing the same never made the difference. So as Catherine said, dream big, do big, and welcome to the PM4R community from now on.
Thank you, Agustin. Great words. Thank you both. You have been wonderful. Thank you. And lastly, on behalf of Doing Global, I would like to express our gratitude to all the participants who have been with us since the beginning of this session and have made notable contributions through their questions and comments on this topic. We extend a sincere thank you to the events area at Doing Global for making this valuable community gathering possible. In the next few weeks, you will be receiving the recording of this meeting and the digital badge to share on your social networks. See you next time. Thank you. Bye.